The bride is sobbing in the east hallway of the Belle Mead plantation, and it is exactly 47 minutes before the ceremony. Your second photographer just texted you from the ER at TriStar Skyline Medical Center. Rear-ended on I-40 near the Briley Parkway exit. Broken collarbone. She is not coming. Your Canon R5, the camera body you have trusted for 2 years and 11 months, is throwing an error 70 every third shot. And you have already pulled the battery, counted to 10, reinserted it, and watched the error crawl back across the display like a cockroach that refuses to die. And Diane Whitfield Morrison, mother of the bride, is standing 6 feet away from you in a $4,200 Oscar de la Renta Mother of the Bride suit, telling the wedding coordinator, in a voice loud enough for the entire bridal suite to hear, that she will have every attorney in Davidson County on the phone by Monday morning. The total contract value sitting on your shoulders right now is $38,400. That is not a typo. $38,400. Photography, videography, albums, prints, engagement session, bridal portraits, rehearsal dinner coverage. The biggest single booking you have ever landed in your life. And at this particular moment, standing in a hallway that smells like gardenias and old money, you are genuinely unsure whether you are about to save it or watch it explode. But here is the part that makes this interesting. There is a second crisis unfolding right now that you do not know about yet. The groom's grandmother's heirloom ring, a 1920s Art Deco piece appraised at $14,000, has gone missing. The ring bearer, a 6-year-old named Hayden, put it somewhere safe. He cannot remember where. And the discovery of that fact is about 12 minutes away. There is also something else. Something that happened 6 months ago involving a business partner, a shared studio lease, and $6,900 you will never get back. That experience is the reason you are standing here today with the skills and the cold-blooded calm to handle what comes next. But we will get to that. For now, you have 47 minutes, and the next 3 decisions you make will determine whether this business you built from a spare bedroom and a used camera body is worth $400,000 or worth nothing. We need to go back, 4 years actually, to a cramped desk on 5th Avenue South in Nashville, Tennessee, and a resignation letter you have not written yet. Your name is Callie Brennan. You are 28 years old. You are a graphic designer at Hillcrest Creative, a mid-size advertising agency occupying the 3rd floor of a converted warehouse in downtown Nashville. Your salary is $52,800 a year before taxes. After taxes, health insurance, and your $280 monthly student loan payment for a BFA from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, you take home approximately $3,340 a month. Your desk is the 4th one from the window. On it, a 27-inch iMac running Adobe Creative Suite, a half-empty bottle of La Croix, 3 Sharpie markers in various states of death, and a Canon 5D Mark IV in a grey Peak Design everyday sling bag tucked under the monitor stand. That camera cost you $1,649, purchased used from KEH Camera in excellent plus condition 7 months ago. Before that, you were shooting with a Canon Rebel T7i that you bought at Best Buy your junior year of college. The 5D Mark IV was the first piece of professional equipment you ever owned, and when the UPS driver handed you that box, your hands were shaking. You have an Instagram account at Callie Brennan Photo. 1,847 followers, most of whom are friends from college, co-workers, and your mum's book club. You post landscapes from Percy Warner Park, moody shots of Broadway honky-tonks at dusk, the occasional portrait of a friend who agreed to stand in front of a brick wall for 20 minutes while you figured out natural light. Photography is not your job. Photography is the thing you do on Saturday mornings before brunch, and sometimes on Sunday evenings when the light over the Cumberland River turns that specific shade of amber that makes your chest tight. Photography is a hobby. You have never charged anyone money for a photograph. That is about to change, and the person who changes it is sitting 12 feet from you right now, designing a banner ad for a regional insurance company and complaining about her lower back. Her name is Tasha Oyelaran, senior designer, 31 years old, 7 months pregnant. And she is about to ask you a question that will, in a very real and traceable way, redirect the entire trajectory of your professional life. Tasha leans back in her chair, presses both hands into her lower back and says, "Callie, would you shoot my maternity photos?" You say something like, "Wait, seriously?" She says, "Dead serious. I looked at your Instagram. That shot you did of your roommate in the leather jacket, the one with the parking garage light, I want that energy, but, with a baby bump." You have never shot a maternity session. You have never shot any kind of paid portrait session. You have taken exactly 0 client phone calls in your entire life. But Tasha is looking at you with the kind of expectant confidence that makes it very hard to say no. And also, somewhere underneath the imposter syndrome, there is a small, hot flame of excitement that you cannot quite smother. You say yes. Then you say the words that will haunt you in retrospect. "I would not even know what to charge." Tasha shrugs. "I do not know. 100? 150? You settle on $150. $150 for a maternity portrait session in Centennial Park on a Saturday morning in April. Tasha insists on paying. You insist that she does not have to. She insists harder. You take the money and feel simultaneously thrilled and guilty, as if you have just gotten away with something. The shoot itself takes 90 minutes. You have Tasha stand near the Parthenon replica because the columns give the images scale and grandeur. You shoot 347 images. When you get home, you spend the next 12 hours culling, editing, and re-editing in Lightroom. You do not know what you are doing. Your white balance is inconsistent. Your skin smoothing is too aggressive on half the images and non-existent on the other half. You deliver 47 final images via a Google Drive link because you do not know that professional gallery platforms exist. Tasha cries when she sees them, not because they are technically perfect, they are not, but because you captured something genuine. The way she holds her belly when she laughs, the way the light catches her earrings, the specific expression she makes when she is trying to look serious and cannot quite manage it. She posts 6 images on Instagram and tags at Callie Brennan Photo. Within 1 week, you receive 3 direct messages from strangers asking if you do portrait sessions. Your hands are shaking again. Same feeling as the KEH box. You are standing at the edge of something and you can feel gravity starting to pull. 3 more portrait sessions over the next month. $150, $200, $175. You raise the price by $50 on the third one and spend 20 minutes staring at the send button on the invoice before you actually press it. Total photography income for May, $675. Here is a question worth sitting with for a moment. When does a hobby become a side hustle? And when does a side hustle become a business? Because right now, in May, standing in the doorway between those two things, you are making decisions that look small, but are actually enormous. For example, you want the Canon R6 Mark II. Body only, $2,499 at B&H Photo. Your 5D Mark IV is fine. It takes beautiful images. But the R6 Mark II has eye-tracking autofocus that feels like witchcraft, 40 frames per second electronic shutter, and in-body image stabilization that would let you shoot handheld in situations where the 5D needs a tripod. You have watched 14 YouTube reviews. You know the specs by heart. You want it the way a 12-year-old wants a dirt bike. You do the math. $2,499 divided by an average session price of $200 equals 12.5 sessions to pay it off. At 4 sessions a month, that is roughly 3 months. Or you could put it on the Chase Freedom Unlimited at 0% APR for 15 months and pay it down as the revenue comes in. You buy it on the credit card. This is your first real financial risk as a photographer. It will not be your last. The R6 Mark II arrives on a Tuesday. You open the box in your apartment kitchen with the overhead light on. And when you mount the RF 50mm f1.8 STM, $199, also from KEH, also used, and hear the electronic click of the lens seating, something shifts. The viewfinder is cleaner. The autofocus is faster. The images look different coming straight out of the camera, sharper, more dimensional. And you know in your gut that this purchase was not vanity. This was infrastructure. 2 weeks later, you shoot a headshot session for a co-worker's boyfriend who needs LinkedIn photos. You charge $250. The session takes 45 minutes. The editing takes 90 minutes. He picks his final 3 images in the Lightroom gallery and says, "These look like they cost $1,000. You smile and say thank you, and do not tell him that inside your head a calculator just started running numbers it has never run before. June. Your college friend Jessica Juan is engaged to David Park. Jessica asks you to shoot their engagement photos at the Cheekwood Estate and Gardens. She offers to pay. You refuse. This one is for the portfolio. And also because Jessica was the person who drove you to the hospital when you had a panic attack during finals week junior year. And some debts are not monetary. Cheekwood in late June. Golden hour. The Bradford pear trees along the main path are enormous and generous with their shade. Jessica and David are easy subjects because they are genuinely, visibly, annoyingly in love. And that kind of chemistry makes a photographer's job simple. You just have to be there with the right settings and stay out of the way. You shoot 412 images, you edit 62 of them. 12 of those images are genuinely exceptional. You can feel it. These are not lucky shots. These are the result of 8 months of weekend practice, 3 portrait sessions worth of learning how to direct a subject, and a camera body that can lock focus on a human eye at f1.8 in dappled light without hesitation. Jessica posts the images on Facebook. 342 likes, 87 comments, shared 11 times. One of those shares reaches a woman named Morgan Castile. Morgan runs Magnolia Event Design, a mid-tier Nashville wedding planning firm that handles about 30 weddings a year in the $40,000 to $120,000 budget range. Morgan follows at Callie Brennan Photo on Instagram. She scrolls through the feed. She sees the Cheekwood images. She sees the Tasha maternity images. She sees a handful of moody Nashville street shots that suggest a photographer with a strong eye and an editorial instinct. Morgan sends a DM. "Hi Callie, I have a January bride who is looking for a photographer. Her budget is $3,500. Would you be interested in chatting?" You read this message while sitting at your desk at Hillcrest Creative, designing a web banner for a chain of urgent care clinics. You read it 3 times. Then you lock your phone, set it face down on the desk, and stare at your monitor for approximately 4 minutes without blinking. $3,500 for one wedding. More than you have earned from all your photography sessions combined. You have never shot a wedding. You have never second shot a wedding. You have never attended a wedding as anything other than a guest who drinks too much champagne during the cocktail hour and cries during the first dance. You say yes anyway. 3 months to prepare. You spend them in a state of controlled panic that manifests as aggressive competence. You watch every wedding photography tutorial on YouTube. You study the work of Nashville photographers who charge $5,000 and up, their compositions, their editing styles, their gallery layouts. You read the r/wedding photography subreddit until your eyes ache. You learn that the Nashville wedding photography market averages $3,200 to $4,800 for experienced shooters, which means Morgan's bride is offering you market rate money for 0 experience work. You do not tell the bride this. You show her the Cheekwood engagement images and the best of your portrait work, and you project a confidence that you do not entirely feel, but that, honestly, is closer to real than you expect. You buy gear. A Canon EF 70 to 200mm f2.8 LIS3 USM, used from MPB for $1,299, with the EF to RF adapter $99. A Godox AD200 Pro Flash Kit, $299. 3 extra LPE6NH batteries, $67 each. 16 SanDisk Extreme Pro SD cards, $22 each. A Spider Pro camera holster so you can carry 2 bodies, $90. You rent a second camera body from Lens Rentals in Nashville. Canon R6 Original, $165 for the weekend. Because if one body fails during a wedding, you cannot pause the ceremony and troubleshoot. Total pre-wedding gear investment, approximately $2,200 on top of what you already own. Your credit card balance is now $4,100. The monthly minimum payment is $82. This is starting to feel real in a way that tastes like copper in the back of your throat. January. Cedarwood Weddings, a venue 20 minutes outside Nashville in a stretch of rolling Tennessee hills that looked like they were designed by a landscape painter with a thing for symmetry. The bride is Lauren Stafford, marrying Michael Stafford. No relation before marriage. Yes, they think it is funny. No, you should not joke about it. 184 guests. You arrive at 8 a.m. The ceremony is at 3 p.m. You have 7 hours to shoot bridal prep, groom prep, detail shots, and venue shots, before anything meaningful even starts. Here is what nobody tells you about wedding photography. The first 3 hours are terrifying. Not because anything goes wrong necessarily, but because the weight of permanence is enormous. These people are living a day they will remember for the rest of their lives, and your job is to preserve it. If you miss the moment Lauren's father sees her in her dress for the first time, that moment is gone. It does not come back. There is no reshoot. There is no second take. You are sweating through your blazer by 9:30 a.m. The day unfolds the way days do, which is to say, not at all according to the timeline. Uncle Steve, a 63-year-old retired dentist from Murfreesboro, positions himself in the center aisle with an iPad held at head height during the processional. You shoot around him. The cake cutting happens 20 minutes ahead of schedule because the catering manager misread the timeline. And nobody tells you until you see the bride holding a knife through a window. You sprint. You get there. The image is slightly motion blurred. Nobody will ever notice. The Godox flash batteries die during the first dance. You had charged them. They died anyway. You switch to available light, push the ISO to 12,800 on the R6 Mark II, and shoot wide open at f1.8. The images have grain. They also have warmth and intimacy that a flashlit first dance never would have had. Sometimes the accident is the art. You shoot 3,847 images over 14 hours. You eat 1 granola bar and drink 2 bottles of water. Your shoes, a pair of black Cole Haan loafers that you bought specifically for this day because they looked professional, have rubbed blisters on both heels that you cannot feel anymore because the nerve endings in your feet have gone on strike. You get home at 11:30 p.m. Your back is a construction zone. Your right shoulder, the one that held a 2-pound camera body and a 3-pound lens at face height for 14 hours, is sending signals that feel like it is auditioning for a medical drama. You sit on the edge of your bed and stare at the wall for 11 minutes without moving. Not thinking, just sitting, processing. You just captured someone's entire wedding day, the biggest day of their life, and the weight of that responsibility is only now beginning to settle on you. Now comes the part nobody warns you about. 3,847 images. You need to cull them down to 600. Then edit 487 finals. This takes 52 hours, spread across 3 weeks. 52 hours of sitting at your desk, staring at Lightroom, adjusting exposure and white balance and contrast and clarity and skin tones, image by image by image. Your eyes develop a twitch. Your lower back starts a conversation that will continue for the rest of your career. You deliver 487 final images on Pixieset. You signed up for the $13 a month starter plan because it was the cheapest option that let you deliver galleries with a custom URL. When Lauren opens the gallery, she calls you from her car, crying, "These are beautiful." You made us look beautiful. You cry in your apartment kitchen because that is apparently what happens when someone validates the thing you are most afraid of. Lauren leaves a 5-star Google review. She posts 12 images on Instagram. Her sister asks for your card. Let us do the math on this wedding. $3,500 revenue, 14 hours shooting, 52 hours editing, 3 hours of pre-wedding meetings, 2 hours of travel. That is 71 hours. $3,500 divided by 71 hours equals $49.30 per hour. Not bad. Except you have not subtracted expenses yet. Here is a question that might change how you think about service businesses forever. What is the difference between revenue per hour and profit per hour? Because those two numbers can be very far apart, and the gap between them is where small businesses quietly bleed to death. Morgan Castile refers you to 3 more couples. The Cedarwood coordinator gives your name to 2. Lauren's Instagram post generates 2 cold inquiries. Between January and March, you book 4 more weddings for the spring and summer at $3,500 each. That is $14,000 in future revenue. Add your ongoing portrait sessions, 3 to 4 a month at $250 average, and your photography side hustle is now projected to earn roughly $32,000 this year. Combined with your Hillcrest salary of $52,800, that is $84,800. More money than you have ever made. But the hours are catastrophic. Monday through Friday, Hillcrest, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Saturday, portrait sessions, wedding prep, or a wedding itself. Sunday, editing. Always editing. The backlog is a living organism that grows faster than you can kill it. You start falling asleep in meetings. Not dozing, falling asleep. Your creative director, Neil Prescott, a 54-year-old man with a grey ponytail and a genuine kindness that makes it worse when he notices, pulls you aside on a Thursday. "Callie, is everything okay? Your energy's been different." You tell him you're fine. He does not believe you. He is right not to. Your second wedding is Rachel and Tom Davenport. 280 guests. Outdoor ceremony at Percy Warner Park. Reception at Ruby on 8th Avenue. The bride requests 700 or more edited images. The wedding party has 22 people. The groom's mother has very specific ideas about which combinations of family members need to be photographed together, and she has written them on a list that is 2 pages long, front and back. You shoot for 16 hours, 5,200 raw files. Editing this wedding takes 71 hours. At $3,500, your effective rate drops to $40.23 per hour, including shoot time. But that is gross rate. After expenses, gear depreciation, insurance, $1,800 per year for equipment and liability through travelers, software, $120 per year for Lightroom, $156 per year for PixieSet, $390 per year for HoneyBook CRM. Gas and travel, $2,400 per year estimated. Backup drives, $300. And continuing education, $800. Your real cost of doing business is roughly $7,590 per year. If you shoot 20 weddings at $3,500, that is $70,000 revenue, minus $7,590 in business expenses equals $62,410 gross profit, minus self-employment tax at 15.3% equals $52,851, minus federal income tax on the remainder equals approximately $44,000 net. 20 weddings times 70 hours each equals 1,400 hours. $44,000 divided by 1,400 hours equals $31.43 per hour. At Hillcrest, your $52,800 salary divided by 2,080 working hours equals $25.38 per hour. The upgrade from employee to full-time photographer is $6.05 per hour. Before you account for the fact that you will lose your employer-sponsored health insurance, which costs Hillcrest $6,840 a year on your behalf. This is the moment most aspiring full-time photographers either quit or get serious about pricing. You get serious. You listen to a podcast episode by a Nashville photographer named David Chen called The Pricing Trap. David says something that rewires your brain. If you are charging what you charged last year, you are giving yourself a pay cut. Every year, your skills improve, your editing gets faster, your vision gets sharper. Your prices should reflect that. The only person who benefits from you undercharging is the client who is getting a steal, and the market you are dragging down for everyone else. Spring. You have 8 weddings booked for April through June at $3,500 each, plus your portrait sessions. You also have Hillcrest, and the 70 to 80-hour weeks are starting to produce symptoms you cannot ignore. You fell asleep at a red light on West End Avenue at 7:15 p.m. on a Tuesday. You were awake for 2 seconds of green before the car behind you honked. That was the moment. Tasha, now back from maternity leave, holding her daughter's daycare pickup schedule in one hand and a cold brew in the other, says, "Girl, you are going to have a breakdown." Neil says, "Callie, I need to be straight with you. Your work quality is slipping. I can see you're stretched thin, and I respect the hustle. But the agency needs you here, or it doesn't." 2 options. Scale back the photography to weekend warrior mode and keep the safety net. Or quit. You do the safety calculation. 8 weddings booked through June, $28,000 guaranteed. Portrait sessions at 4 per month through summer, another $3,000. That is $31,000 in committed revenue over the next 4 months. Your monthly expenses are $3,800. Rent, $1,450 for a 1-bedroom in East Nashville. Car payment, $340 on a 2019 Honda CR-V. Student loans, $280. Utilities, food, phone, everything else. You need $3,800 a month to survive. You have $31,000 committed over 4 months, which averages $7,750 a month. The math works. Barely. Health insurance through the marketplace. $540 per month for a silver plan in the Nashville market. That is $6,480 a year that Hillcrest was covering for free. You give 2 weeks' notice on a Monday morning in August. Neil shakes your hand and says, "You're talented, Callie. Do not undersell yourself." Tasha cries. You almost cry. You do not cry because you're in the office, and also because you are terrified, and tears feel like they might become permanent if you start now. Last day at Hillcrest Creative, August 15th. Here is something nobody prepares you for when you go full-time as a photographer: the emotional architecture of risk. At Hillcrest, risk was abstract. The worst thing that could happen was a missed deadline or a bad design that got sent back for revisions. Nobody lost money. Nobody's career ended. The floor was always there. Now, there is no floor. Every dollar you earn comes from a person who chose to give it to you instead of someone else. And every dollar you spend comes from a pool that only fills when you fill it. This is the fundamental difference between employment and entrepreneurship, and it changes the way you eat breakfast. You start budgeting with the intensity of a chess player. You track every expense in a Google Sheet that has 14 tabs. You learn what your monthly break-even number is, $3,800, and you think about it while brushing your teeth. But risk has a cousin, and the cousin's name is clarity. When every dollar matters, you stop spending on things that do not work. You stop accepting $150 portrait sessions because the math no longer permits it. You stop buying gear you do not need because the credit card balance is no longer theoretical. It is the difference between making rent in January or not making rent in January. Risk sharpens you. That is the part the business books leave out. September. Nashville wedding season is in full swing. The weather is warm without being murderous. The light is golden. The venues are booked. Freedom is intoxicating for exactly 11 days. On day 12, you sit down at your kitchen table with a spreadsheet, and the reality of self-employment walks through the door and sits down across from you like a bill collector. Self-employment taxes. You owe them now. Quarterly estimated payments to the IRS. If you underpay, there are penalties. You do not have an accountant yet. You find one through the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. Miranda Solis, $1,200 a year for quarterly tax prep and annual filing. You form an LLC. Callie Brennan Photography, LLC. Tennessee filing fee, $300. Annual report, $300. EIN from the IRS. Free, takes 4 minutes on their website. Business bank account at First Horizon Bank. You walk in, explain that you are a photographer, and leave with a checking account that has a monthly fee of $15, which is waived if you keep a $1,500 minimum balance. You transfer $2,000 from savings and try not to think about how fast that number might shrink. You set up HoneyBook, a client management platform, for $390 a year. It handles contracts, invoices, questionnaires, scheduling, and payment processing. Before HoneyBook, you were sending invoices through PayPal and tracking deadlines on a Google Calendar with color-coded entries. The upgrade to a real CRM makes you feel like a real business, which is psychologically important in ways that are hard to quantify. September revenue, $7,800. 2 weddings, $3,500 each, and 3 portrait sessions, $250, $300, $200. September expenses, $4,200. Rent, car, insurance, food, software, gas, student loans. September net income, $3,600. That is less than you are making bi-weekly at Hillcrest. Welcome to the Financial Valley. Every full-time creative knows this place. It smells like instant ramen and anxiety. The dead season in Nashville wedding photography runs roughly from November through February. Summer is too hot and humid for outdoor ceremonies. Spring and fall are prime time. Winter is a desert. November revenue, $2,100. 1 small weekday wedding at a courthouse, $1,200, and a holiday mini-session marathon at Shelby Bottoms Greenway, $900 for 12 sessions at $75 each. Yes, you are underpricing the minis, and yes, you know it, but you need the cash flow and the portfolio content. December, $3,800. Holiday family portraits are steady. 16 sessions at $200 average, plus one corporate holiday party at $600. Your checking account balance on December 31st is $4,100. January, $1,200. 2 headshot sessions, $500 and $700. That is it. Nashville in January is grey and quiet, and your inbox matches. February, $900. 1 boudoir session, $500, and 1 headshot, $400. You eat rice and beans 3 times that week. You do not post about it on Instagram. Total dead season revenue, November through February, $8,000. Total dead season expenses, $16,800. Your savings account goes from $11,200 to $2,400. You start thinking about going back. You apply to 2 agencies. Hillcrest is not hiring, which feels like a door closing. A smaller shop called Thread and Ink calls you for an interview. You accept the interview time slot. You pick out an outfit. You iron a blouse. You do not go. Instead, you sit in your apartment on a Saturday morning in February with a cup of coffee that has gone cold, and you write a list on the back of an envelope. On one side, everything you would gain by going back to an agency. Steady paycheck, health insurance, social interaction, structure. On the other side, everything you would lose. And the second list is longer, and the items on it are heavier. And when you are done writing, you throw the envelope away and open your laptop and start rebuilding. New website on Squarespace, $192 a year plus the domain. Clean, minimal, portfolio forward. You study the websites of photographers who book consistently, and you notice they all have a clear call to action, a defined brand voice, and no more than 3 portfolio categories. You apply to the knot. $1,200 a year for a vendor listing. You apply to Wedding Wire. $1,800 a year. These feel like enormous expenses when your checking account is at $2,400, but they are the digital storefronts where Nashville brides go shopping. You start a blog on your Squarespace site, writing SEO-targeted posts. 10 best wedding venues in Nashville. What to wear for your engagement session. How much does a Nashville wedding photographer cost? These posts will take months to rank, but they will rank. 6 months from now, the Nashville wedding venues post will be the number 3 organic result on Google and will generate an average of 14 clicks per week to your website. At a 35% booking rate and an average package price of $5,800, those 14 weekly clicks will produce approximately 1 booking per month directly attributable to 1 blog post. This is what photographers mean when they say SEO is the gift that keeps giving. You write the post once, it works for years. You also start posting Instagram Reels. Short, 60-second clips from behind the scenes at shoots, set to trending audio. Your follower count goes from 2,100 to 4,800 in 3 months. 2 bookings come directly from Instagram DMs. The algorithm rewards consistency, not perfection, and you commit to posting 3 times a week. 1 portfolio image, 1 behind-the-scenes reel, 1 educational carousel about wedding photography tips. Pinterest is the sleeper. You pin your best images to boards titled Nashville Wedding Photography, Engagement Session Ideas. Bellmead Plantation Wedding, and let the algorithm do the work. Pinterest is a search engine, not a social network, and your images start showing up in wedding planning searches that bring traffic to your website months after you post them. By April, Pinterest is your second largest traffic source after Google. You shoot 3 styled shoots for free, collaborating with florists, planners, and venues who need content as badly as you need portfolio images. You do not get paid. You get something more valuable. Images that show the kind of weddings you want to book, not just the weddings you have booked. March. The Thaw. 4 wedding inquiries from The Knot, 3 from Wedding Wire, 2 from Instagram, 1 from a Google search that landed on your blog post about Nashville wedding venues. 10 inquiries in 1 month. Your booking rate is about 35%, so you expect to close 3 or 4. But that is 3 or 4 at new prices, because you are not making the same mistake twice. New pricing structure. Classic package, $4,200. 8 hours of coverage, 1 photographer, 400 plus edited images, online gallery, print release. Premium package, $5,800. 10 hours, engagement session included, second photographer, 600 plus images, a linen-bound album with 30 spreads. Ultimate package, $7,500. Full day coverage, engagement session, bridal portrait session, second photographer, 800 plus images, premium leather album, wall art credit, and a highlight slideshow. You book 6 weddings for spring and summer, 2 classic at $4,200 each, 3 premium at $5,800, 1 ultimate at $7,500. Total booked revenue, $32,500. Your hands do not shake this time. Your jaw is set. But there is a problem you have not solved yet. The premium and ultimate packages promise a second photographer. You do not have a second photographer. You do not even know any photographers in Nashville well enough to ask. This is the kind of problem that looks small on paper and is enormous in practice, because a second shooter is not just another pair of hands. A second shooter sees the angles you cannot see. They catch the groom's reaction when the bride walks down the aisle while you are shooting the bride. They document the cocktail hour while you are shooting family formals. A great second shooter does not just add coverage, they multiply it. You need to find one, and you need to find one who is good enough to put your name on their work, because every image they deliver goes into your gallery under your brand. You post in the Nashville Photographers Facebook group. Looking for a second shooter for upcoming weddings. Must have own gear, reliable transportation, and experience with ceremonies and receptions. $50 per hour or $400 flat rate per wedding. 11 responses. You meet 4 of them for coffee. 1 of them stands out. Priya Patel, 24 years old, recent graduate of Watkins College of Art, Design and Film, the Nashville campus that would later merge into Belmont University. Priya has been assisting other photographers for a year and a half. She owns a Canon R6, a 35mm f1.8, and an 85mm f1.8. Her portfolio is small but sharp. She has an editorial eye that leans darker and moodier than your own style, which is exactly what you want. 2 perspectives on the same day create a richer gallery. You do a test shoot at Percy Warner Park. Priya is good. She is quiet on set, which you like. She anticipates moments before they happen, which is rare and unteachable. She needs direction on composition. Her instinct is to shoot tight, and you prefer a mix of tight and environmental, but that is coachable. First wedding together. The Hermitage Hotel, downtown Nashville. Bride, Amanda and Chris Beckwith. 160 guests. Priya is everywhere you are not. While you shoot the bride's first look with her father, Priya captures the groom adjusting his boutonniere in the mirror with his best man. While you photograph the ceremony from the center aisle, Priya is on the balcony getting the wide overhead shot. She delivers 1,200 images. You edit them alongside yours for a combined gallery of 612 final images, nearly 50% more than your solo weddings. The Beckwiths notice. "There are so many moments here we had no idea were being captured," Amanda writes in an email. Then she asks about upgrading to an album. $1,200 add-on. The lesson is crystalline. A second shooter does not just divide labor. A second shooter multiplies value. The upgrade pays for itself and then some. Priya becomes your regular second shooter at $400 per wedding. Over the next 8 months, she will shoot 19 weddings with you. And on the 20th, she will break her collarbone in a car accident on I-40, 47 minutes before the biggest wedding of your career. But that comes later. October, a Tuesday evening, Nashville Creative Collective Mixer at Pinewood Social, which is the kind of place that has shuffleboard tables and $14 cocktails, and attracts the specific subset of Nashville professionals who describe themselves as creatives. You do not love these events, but they are good for networking, and networking is the circulatory system of a service business. A man approaches you near the bar, tall, early 30s, beard that is exactly the right length to signal intentional without crossing into forgotten. His name is Marcus Webb. He has been a Nashville wedding and portrait photographer for 8 years. He is, by any reasonable measure, established. His website shows work from the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Schermerhorn Symphony Center, and weddings at Cheekwood, where the flower budgets exceed your annual rent. Marcus says, "I have been seeing your work come up. The Beckwith wedding at the Hermitage, those balcony shots were exceptional." You say thank you and try not to visibly glow. Marcus says, "I have a proposition. I have more inquiries than I can handle. You are good, and you are growing fast. What if we shared a studio space?" The deal. An 800-square-foot space in the Wedgwood, Houston neighborhood, a formerly industrial area south of downtown that has been colonized by galleries, coffee shops, and creative studios over the past 5 years. Monthly rent, $1,800. Split 50-50, that is $900 each. The space includes a shooting area with 12-foot ceilings, an editing station, a client meeting corner with a leather couch and a coffee table, and a small kitchenette. Marcus has ProPhoto B10 Plus lights that Callie can use for studio portraits. When Marcus cannot take a wedding, he refers the client to Callie, and vice versa. 10% referral fee. It sounds perfect. It sounds like exactly the kind of collaborative, supportive, mutually beneficial arrangement that business books and podcasts describe in glowing terms. You should be more careful. But you are 29 years old and hungry, and the studio has exposed brick walls and enormous windows, and it feels like the next step in a story that is going exactly the way you imagined it. You say yes. The studio opens in June. Lease signed 12 months, jointly and severally liable, which is a legal phrase that means if Marcus stops paying his half, you owe the full $1,800. You do not think about that clause when you sign. You will think about it later. The first 3 months are magic. Marcus refers 4 weddings to you, $19,200 in bookings, $1,920 in referral fees to Marcus. The economics are beautiful. You pay Marcus 10% for doing literally nothing, except saying your name to someone who was going to hire somebody anyway. You start doing studio portrait sessions, corporate headshots for small businesses, personal branding shoots for Nashville entrepreneurs who need content for their Instagram and LinkedIn. These sessions use Marcus's ProPhoto B10 Plus lights, which retail at $1,949 each, and which Marcus generously shares. Client meetings happen at the studio now. You sit on the leather couch, show portfolio work on a 27-inch monitor, and serve coffee from the Nespresso machine. The closing rate on inquiries jumps from 35% to 52%. Turns out, meeting a photographer in a real studio instead of a Panera Bread makes clients feel like they are hiring a professional. Revenue, July through September, $24,600. 5 weddings, 8 portrait sessions, 3 corporate headshot gigs. After expenses, you net $14,100 for the quarter. You create a Webb and Brennan Studio Instagram page. Marcus posts behind-the-scenes content. You post before and after editing comparisons. Together, you grow to 4,200 followers in 8 weeks. This feels like a real business. This feels like momentum. And then, Marcus misses his October rent payment. Next week, I promise. Big payment coming in. You cover his half, $900. You are annoyed, but not alarmed. People have cash flow issues. It happens. November. He misses again. There is a wedding check that is not cleared yet. I am so sorry. You cover again. That is $3,600 you have now paid that Marcus was supposed to cover. In December, you discover the truth. Not because Marcus tells you, but because a collection agency calls the studio phone looking for him. You do not answer, but you hear the voicemail, and the amount mentioned is $23,000 in credit card debt. You confront Marcus over the Nespresso machine. He looks at the floor and tells you the story. His business has been running at a loss for the past 14 months. The referrals he was sending you were partially because he could not afford to service those clients himself. Not enough gear, not enough editing hours, not enough runway. He has been using credit cards to cover expenses and making minimum payments that barely dent the interest. Worse, he used the joint studio insurance policy to file a personal equipment claim, a pro photo head that fell off a light stand during a solo shoot. He did not tell you. The claim raised the premium by $400 a year. There is a specific kind of anger that comes from realizing you have been trusting someone who was drowning and pulling you under with them. It is hot and quiet, and it sits in your chest like a coal. You do not yell. You say, "Marcus, we need to unwind this." He agrees. He has no choice. The lease has 7 months remaining. Marcus cannot pay. This is no longer a prediction. It is a fact. Options. Option A. You take over the full lease, $1,800 a month, solo, in the dead season. Option B. Both of you break the lease. Early termination penalty, 3 months rent, $5,400 split between you. Option C. Find someone to sublease Marcus's half in Nashville in December for a photography studio. Good luck. You cannot afford $1,800 a month alone. Not in November through February, when your revenue drops to $2,000 a month. You saw the dead season once. You know what it looks like. You break the lease. Penalty, $2,700, your half. You move all equipment out over Thanksgiving weekend. Marcus helps you carry the editing desk down 2 flights of stairs. He apologizes 3 times. You accept each apology with a nod that communicates something less than forgiveness and something more than indifference. Total loss from the partnership? $3,600 in rent you covered for Marcus. $2,700 in lease termination penalty. $200 for the insurance premium increase. $400 in moving costs. A U-Haul rental, and 2 Craigslist guys who carried the heavy stuff for $50 each. $6,900 gone. You sit in your apartment on Thanksgiving night with a plate of leftover turkey and mashed potatoes from the Cracker Barrel on Dickerson Pike, because you are not going to cook on a day you spent hauling furniture. And you feel something surprising. Not anger, not sadness, relief. The studio was beautiful. The partnership felt like validation. But it was also a dependency. Your business depended on Marcus's solvency, Marcus's honesty, Marcus's professional stability. And none of those things turned out to be as solid as the exposed brick walls they shared. From now on, your business depends on exactly one person: you. Here is the lesson, and it is worth writing on a wall somewhere. Never enter a joint financial obligation without 3 things. A written operating agreement that specifies who pays what, when, and what happens if they stop. Separate liability insurance, not joint. And an exit clause that lets either party leave without burning the other one down. You had none of these. You will never make this mistake again. December through January, no studio. Back to coffee shop meetings and your spare bedroom editing station. But this time, you are smarter, and the difference between your first dead season and your second is the difference between panic and strategy. Home office. You convert the guest bedroom into a permanent editing space. Standing desk from IKEA, $249. A BenQ SW270C monitor, calibrated for photo editing, $649 refurbished. And a Datacolor Spider X calibration device, $129. Total, $1,027. Monthly cost, $0. You build a mini studio in the same room. A Savage 9x10 white seamless backdrop, $67. 2 Godox SK4002 strobes, $129 each, with softboxes and modifiers, $180 for the set. Total, $505, enough for headshots and waist-up portraits. For larger shoots, full-body portraits, product photography, anything requiring more space, you rent by the hour at the Studio Nashville in the Gulch, $65 per hour. You book 3 to 4 hour blocks. The math: $65 per hour times 4 hours times 8 sessions per month equals $2,080 per month in studio rental. That sounds worse than the $1,800 fixed lease, until you realize you only needed 8 sessions, not 30 days. Variable cost beats fixed cost when your utilization rate is below 70%, and yours is well below 70%. This is a lesson that applies to every service business on earth, and it is one that most people learn the hard way. You also overhaul your editing workflow. At Hillcrest, you used presets in Photoshop for repetitive design tasks. You apply the same logic to Lightroom. You build a custom preset library, 12 base presets for different lighting conditions: outdoor golden hour, outdoor overcast, indoor window light, indoor reception, flash direct, flash bounce, church natural, church mixed, sunset, blue hour, night, and studio. Each preset gets you 70% of the way to the final image. The remaining 30% is manual adjustment. The result? Editing time per wedding drops from 52 hours to 34 hours. That is 18 hours saved per wedding. At 20 weddings a year, that is 360 hours, or 9 full work weeks, that you are no longer spending in Lightroom. You spend them on marketing, sales calls, and sleeping. You also establish a backup system that would make a data center engineer nod approvingly. Every wedding is shot on dual card slots, one CF Express, one SD. At the end of each wedding, both cards are copied to a portable SSD, Samsung T7 Shield, $129, IP65 waterproof, which matters when you're transferring files in a parking lot at midnight and it is raining. Within 48 hours, the files are uploaded to Backblaze B2 cloud storage, $6 per month for unlimited backup. Original cards are not formatted until the final gallery is delivered and the client has confirmed receipt. 3 copies at all times, 2 local, 1 cloud. Because you've heard the horror stories, photographers who lost entire weddings to a corrupt hard drive, and you refuse to become one. January, slow month. You reach out to your old network at Hillcrest Creative. Neil Prescott, your former creative director, picks up on the first ring. Callie Brennan, I was wondering when you would call. You pitch corporate headshots. Neil says, actually, we do need new headshots for the whole team. 14 people. What do you charge? You quote $175 per person, $2,450 total for a half-day session. You set up 2 lights and a grey seamless in the Hillcrest conference room. 30 minutes per person, including setup, posing, and a few candid variations. 14 headshots in 5 hours of shooting. 3 final images per person. 42 total edits. 6 hours of editing. Total time investment, approximately 10 hours. $2,450 divided by 10 hours equals $245 per hour. Now compare that to wedding photography. Your average wedding generates $5,800 in revenue with the new pricing. Total hours invested, 70 or more, including shooting, editing, meetings, and travel. $5,800 divided by 70 equals $82.86 per hour. Corporate headshots, $245 per hour. Weddings, $82.86 per hour. You read those numbers 3 times. You put down your coffee. You open a new tab in your browser and type Nashville Corporate Headshots into Google. This is what is known in business as a pivot insight. And it does not mean you abandon weddings. Weddings are your bread and butter, your portfolio engine, your emotional core. But corporate headshots are your profit multiplier. And every hour you spend shooting headshots is 3 hours you're not spending on a wedding for less money. You start actively marketing to businesses. LinkedIn outreach, 3 messages a day to Nashville business owners and HR managers. Google Business Profile, optimized for Nashville Corporate Headshots. Nashville Professional Headshots. Nashville Business Portraits. You join the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce, $375 a year, which gives you access to a directory of 2,400 local businesses. First quarter of corporate headshot work, 6 bookings. Total revenue, $14,700. Average, $2,450 per session, 10 hours each, $245 per hour. You're looking at the same camera, the same skills, and the same city. The only thing that changed was who you pointed the camera at. March. You are heading back from a wedding at Front Porch Farms in Franklin, Tennessee. It was a beautiful ceremony. 200 guests, a sunset timeline that worked perfectly, an open bar that made everyone loose and laughing by the time the sparkler exit happened at 9:30 p.m. You load your gear into the back of your Honda CR-V in the venue parking lot. 2 camera bodies, 4 lenses, 2 flashes, a Spider Pro holster, a laptop, and 17 SD cards in a Pelican case. Total insured value of the equipment in your car, approximately $15,475. You run back inside to check the timeline with the coordinator for pickup. You want to confirm whether the couple wants a next day sneak peek post. You are gone for 8 minutes. When you come back, the passenger window is smashed. Glass on the seat like broken ice. The Peak Design everyday backpack that was on the passenger seat is gone. Inside the backpack, Canon R5, $3,899. Canon R6 Mark II, $2,499. RF 85mm f1.2 LUSM, $2,699. RF 24 to 70mm f2.8 LISUSM, $2,399. RF 35mm f1.4 LVCM, $1,499. Profoto B10 Plus, $1,949, and miscellaneous accessories worth approximately $530. Total loss, $15,475. You stand in the parking lot with your hands on the roof of your car and your forehead pressed against the cold metal, and you breathe. You breathe for a long time. The reception starts in 4 hours. You have no cameras. You call Priya. She has her Canon R6 and 2 lenses. She can be there in 50 minutes. You call Marcus Webb. Yes, Marcus, the man who cost you $6,900 and a lease and a year of trust. He has a Canon R5 and a 70 to 200 millimeters. He can be there in 40 minutes. He does not hesitate. He does not bring up the past. He says, "I'm on my way." You finish the wedding with borrowed gear. The couple will never know. Monday morning, you file a police report with Nashville Metro PD. They take the information, give you a case number, and tell you, with the gently apologetic honesty of people who have delivered this news before, that the recovery rate for stolen camera equipment is approximately 2%. Then you call your insurance company. You have equipment insurance through a traveler's commercial property policy. $2,400 a year, $500 deductible. You file the claim with detailed serial numbers, purchase receipts, and photographs of every piece of stolen gear. The adjuster calls on Wednesday. Was the vehicle locked? Yes. Was the equipment stored in a locked, enclosed compartment not visible from the exterior of the vehicle? Your stomach drops. The backpack was on the passenger seat, visible through the window. Our policy requires that covered equipment be stored in a locked, enclosed space, not visible from outside the vehicle when unattended. A camera bag visible on a seat does not meet this threshold. I am sorry, Miss Brennan, the claim is denied. $15,475. Gone. No insurance payout, no recovery. Gone. You cry on your bathroom floor at 2 a.m. on a Thursday. You lie there for 40 minutes, face against the tile, and you consider with genuine seriousness whether this whole thing was a mistake. Whether the cubicle and the $52,800 and the steady paycheck and the dental insurance were the right choice all along, and you were foolish to ever leave. But you have weddings booked in April and May, deposits collected, contracts signed. You owe those people their photos. You cannot quit, and you cannot deliver with no cameras. And so the only option left is the hard one. Emergency credit card purchase, Canon R5 refurbished from Canon's official refurbished store, $3,299 versus $3,899 new. RF 24 to 70 mm f2.8 used from MPB in excellent condition, $1,899 versus $2,399 new. $5,198 on the credit card. You will replace the remaining lenses over the next 3 months as revenue comes in. New insurance policy. Inland marine coverage through State Farm. $1,890 per year. Covers equipment anywhere, in a car, at a venue, in your studio, on location. No visibility clause. No, was it in a locked compartment questions. This is the policy you should have had from the beginning. New rules. Gear never leaves the locked trunk. You install a $189 aftermarket car alarm with a motion sensor. You buy a $120 cable lock for the camera bag when it is in the vehicle. And you forgive yourself for the lesson, because the alternative is carrying it around forever, and the weight of it will make you slow. April. You are editing a boudoir session for a client named Amanda Morrison. Her husband Kenji booked the session as a birthday gift. Standard boudoir package, $800 for a 2-hour session, professional hair and makeup included, subcontracted to a makeup artist named Danny Frazier at $200 per session, 25 edited images. Amanda emails you 3 days after gallery delivery. Callie, can I get the one with the lace curtain as a 24 by 36 canvas? My friend has one from her photographer and it looks amazing. You have never sold a print. All your galleries have been digital delivery only. Download the high-resolution files, print wherever you want, goodbye. This is how most young photographers operate, and it is leaving an enormous amount of money on the table. You research professional print labs. White House Custom Color, known as WHCC in the industry, is the standard. They print on archival quality paper, stretch canvases with museum-grade materials, and ship direct to your client with your branding on the packaging. Cost from WHCC for a 24 by 36 gallery wrapped canvas, $67. You charge Amanda $425. She does not blink. She does not compare prices. She does not Google 24 by 36 canvas print cost. She sees a $425 price on a custom fine art canvas from her photographer, and she says, "Can I also get the one by the window as a 16 by 20 and a set of 3 8 by 10s for the hallway?" Final order: one 24 by 36 canvas, $425. One 16 by 20 print, $285. 3 8 by 10 prints, $65 each, $195 total. Grand total, $905. Your cost from WHCC, $67, plus $42, plus $18 times 3 equals $163. Net profit on prints, $742. For forwarding an order to a lab and pressing a button, you set up a Pixie Set print store integrated with WHCC fulfillment. Client clicks, orders, pays. WHCC prints, packages, ships. You make the margin. The entire transaction takes less time than making a cup of coffee. This changes everything. You add an in-person sales session to your workflow. After delivering each wedding gallery, you schedule a 1-hour viewing session, either at the client's home or at a rented studio space. You show a curated selection of 60 to 80 images on a calibrated 27-inch monitor. You have sample prints and albums on a display table. You walk through the images together. You talk about which ones would look best on their walls. You suggest groupings, sizes, finishes. This is called in-person sales, or IPS, and it is the single highest value activity in the photography business per hour invested. Your first IPS wedding, Rachel and David Mendez. They booked the premium package at $5,800. Gallery delivered. 3 weeks later, you meet at their home in Germantown with your laptop, a portable monitor, and a sample album. They order one 30 by 40 canvas of the Golden Hour portrait, $595, two 16 by 20 prints for the parents, $245 each, a custom Queensberry album upgrade from the 30-spread linen to a 60-spread leather, $1,800 upgrade, and 4 8 by 10 prints, $95 each. Total print and album order, $3,265. Added to the $5,800 photography package, $9,065 total revenue from one wedding. Your cost for the products, approximately $680. Net margin on the products alone, $2,585. You stare at the invoice on your Honeybook dashboard for approximately 20 minutes, doing nothing, thinking about every $3,500 wedding you shot, where you delivered digital files only and waved goodbye to thousands of dollars. Industry data backs this up. The average wedding photographer who offers digital-only delivery earns $3,200 to $4,800 per wedding. The average wedding photographer who incorporates in-person sales earns $6,000 to $12,000 per wedding. The difference is not in the photography. It is in the business model. You are the same photographer with the same camera and the same skills. You just learned how to sell what you were already creating. There is a psychology to this that is worth understanding. When you deliver a digital gallery and say, Here are your photos. Print them wherever you like. You are handing the client a link and walking away. The client opens the gallery, scrolls through 600 images on their phone screen, maybe downloads a few, maybe shares one on Instagram. And then the gallery sits in their email inbox gathering digital dust. Within 6 months, most clients have not printed a single image. The photos exist on a hard drive somewhere, unseen, unappreciated. When you sit with a client, show them their images on a calibrated monitor and help them choose which moments deserve to be on their walls, you are providing a service that goes beyond photography. You are helping them curate their memories. You are turning digital files into physical objects that they will walk past every day for years. That is worth something. And charging for it is not greed. It is professionalism. The photography industry calls this the shoot and burn versus full service debate. And it is one of the most important business decisions a photographer makes. Shoot and burn is easier. Full service is more profitable. The gap between them is the difference between a $4,000 average and an $8,000 average per client. Over a career, that gap compounds into hundreds of thousands of dollars. You hire your first associate photographer, Derek Callahan. 26 years old, former photojournalist who covered local news for the Tennessean before deciding that news photography pays $38,000 a year and he would rather be poor in a different way. Derek is technically excellent. His wedding style is documentary, unposed, candid, fly on the wall. It is a different flavor than your own approach, which leans editorial and directed, and that difference is actually an asset. Some clients want candid, some clients want polished. Now you can offer both. The associate model works like this. Derek shoots under your brand, Callie Brennan Photography. You provide the lead generation, the client communication, the contracts, the editing, and the delivery. Derek shows up, shoots the wedding, and sends you the raw files. You charge $3,800 for associate weddings, positioned as a documentary collection on your website. Derek gets $800 per wedding. You edit the gallery, approximately 25 hours per associate wedding, since Derek delivers clean, well-exposed files that need minimal correction. Your effective cost of editing time at your current rate is approximately $40 per hour, so $1,000 in editing labor. Revenue per associate wedding, $3,800. Minus Derek, $800. Minus editing labor, $1,000, minus product costs and delivery, $200, equals $1,800 net. Plus potential IPS revenue, averaging $800 per associate wedding, equals $2,600 total net per associate wedding. You are earning $2,600 from weddings you do not attend. This is the moment your business transitions from a freelance practice to a company. Second associate hire, Nina Park, 30, relocating from Atlanta where she shot editorial and commercial work. More experience than Derek, sharper instincts, higher rate, $900 per wedding. But her work requires less editing, which roughly balances out. By autumn, your revenue model looks like this. Callie shot weddings, 15 per year. Average $6,200 photography, plus $1,800 in IPS. $120,000. Associate weddings, 18 per year. $3,800 each. Approximately $2,600 net each. $46,800. Corporate headshots, 24 sessions per year. Average $2,600. $62,400. Portrait and bridal work, 40 sessions per year. Average $450. $18,000. Total revenue, $247,200. Total expenses, $98,000. Associates, studio rental, gear depreciation, insurance, marketing, software, taxes, accounting. Net operating income, $149,200. Owner's compensation, after self-employment tax and income tax, approximately $118,000. From $52,800 at Hillcrest Creative to $118,000 in year 3. That is a 123% increase. It took the worst dead season of your life, a failed partnership, $15,475 in stolen gear, and approximately 4,000 hours of editing. But the number is real, and the momentum is real, and the life you are living is one you chose. Here is a question that goes to the heart of what it means to build a service business. When did you stop being a freelancer and start being a business owner? Because there is a distinction, and it matters. A freelancer trades time for money. When the freelancer stops working, the money stops. A business owner builds a system that generates revenue beyond their personal capacity. When you hire Derek, you cross that line. You are no longer the bottleneck. You are the engine. And an engine that only runs when the driver is in the seat is a car. An engine that runs on its own is a machine. The transition from freelancer to business owner happens in stages, and most people do not notice it happening. Stage 1. You do all the work yourself. Stage 2. You do the critical work and delegate the routine work, hiring a second shooter, outsourcing basic editing. Stage 3. You design the system and manage the people who do the work, hiring associates, building a brand that sells without your name attached. Stage 4. You own the system and the system runs itself. Passive revenue from workshops, print sales, brand licensing. You are somewhere between Stage 2 and Stage 3. The system is not fully independent yet. You still shoot 12 weddings a year personally, and you still do all the IPS sessions, and you still answer every email and approve every gallery. But the pieces are in place. The foundation is poured. The building is going up. Let us talk about the wedding that almost ended everything. Back to the present. The $38,400 Whitfield Morrison wedding at Belmead Plantation. You remember, bride sobbing, second shooter in the ER, camera throwing errors, mother of the bride threatening legal action. The bride is Charlotte Whitfield. The groom is James Morrison. The mother is Diane Whitfield Morrison, who runs a public relations firm that represents 3 Nashville-based country artists and a chain of boutique hotels. Diane is connected. Diane is powerful. Diane is terrifying. 270 guests. Full-day coverage from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. The contract breakdown. Photography, Callie, lead, $12,500. Videography, subcontracted to Landon Cho, a Nashville videographer, $8,400. Custom heirloom album, 80 pages, leather-bound, hand-stitched, $6,500. Engagement session at Cheekwood, completed 3 months ago, $4,200. Bridal portrait session at the Hermitage Hotel, completed 6 weeks ago, $3,800. Rehearsal dinner coverage at the 404 Kitchen, $3,000. Total contract, $38,400. This is the biggest booking of your career by a factor of 3. You have been preparing for 6 months. Your shot list is 7 pages long. Your timeline is color-coded. Your batteries are charged. Your backup cards are formatted. Everything is ready. And then 10:17 a.m. happens. Priya texts, "Callie, I'm so sorry. Rear-ended on I-40 near Briley. In the ambulance. They think my collarbone is broken. I can't make it. I'm so sorry." You are in the bridal suite, applying a lens cloth to the front element of your RF 85mm when this text arrives. Your heart rate goes from 72 to 130 in approximately 4 seconds. 15 seconds later, your Canon R5 produces error 70 on a test shot of the detail flat lay. Error 70 means the camera detected something wrong with the image capture process. You pull the battery. Wait 10 seconds. Reinsert. Take a shot. Clean image. Take another. Error 70. The CF Express card in slot A is failing intermittently. And then, at 10:34 a.m., the wedding coordinator's radio crackles. The ring bearer's mother cannot find the heirloom ring. The ring that belongs to James Morrison's grandmother, a 1920s Art Deco piece with a central emerald and pave-set diamonds, valued at $14,000 and irreplaceable. Hayden, the 6-year-old ring bearer, says he put it somewhere really safe. He cannot remember where. This is the kind of moment that reveals what a person is made of. Not the photography, the architecture underneath it, the systems, the backups, the contingencies, the relationships you built when everything was calm, so they would hold when everything was not. You have 47 minutes until the ceremony. Crisis number 1. Second shooter. You call Derek Callahan. He is 40 minutes away, shooting an engagement session at Radnor Lake. "Derek, I need you here. Priya is in the ER, Belle Mead. Can you wrap up and get here?" Derek does not ask questions. "I can be there by 1:45. The ceremony is at 2 o'clock. "Make it 1:40. Derek will arrive at 1:38 p.m., 22 minutes before the ceremony, with his Canon R6 Mark III and 2 lenses. It will be enough. Crisis number 2. The camera. You switch to your Canon R6 Mark III, which you purchased as a dedicated backup body 3 months ago for exactly this scenario. You test the R5 with the SD card in slot B, instead of the CF Express in slot A. It fires cleanly. The issue is the CF Express card slot, not the sensor. You can use the R5 in single-slot recording on slot B. It works, but without the redundant backup recording that dual slot provides. Acceptable risk for today. Unacceptable risk going forward. That R5 is going to Canon service next week. Crisis number 3. The ring. This is where something unexpected happens. You remember photographing Hayden earlier that morning during the bridal prep, playing near a potted plant in the east hallway of the plantation house. You were shooting the bridesmaids getting their makeup done, and Hayden was wandering in the background of several frames. You open Lightroom on your laptop. You scrub through the morning images. Frame IMG_4847. There is Hayden, half turned away from the camera, sliding a small, dark blue velvet box into the soil of a potted fiddle leaf fig in the hallway, approximately 3 feet from where Diane Whitfield Morrison is currently standing and threatening litigation. You show the image to the wedding coordinator. She walks to the plant. She reaches into the soil. She pulls out the ring box. Diane Whitfield Morrison goes from every attorney in Davidson County to tears in under 90 seconds. She crosses the hallway, takes your hand and says, "You just saved this wedding." You did not save the wedding. You took a photograph and remembered it. But sometimes the most important image you capture is not the one that goes in the gallery. The ceremony is beautiful. Derek arrives at 1:38 p.m., clips on his Spider Pro holster, and takes position on the left side of the aisle, without a word exchanged beyond a nod. He knows the drill. You are on the right. Landon Cho, the videographer, is on a gimbal in the back. Charlotte walks down the aisle in a Monique Lullier gown that cost more than your first car. Her father, Robert Whitfield, is trying very hard not to cry, and failing in the most dignified way possible. You shoot the father's face at the exact moment his composure breaks. f1.2, 1/500th, ISO 400. It will be the best-selling print from this wedding. The golden hour portraits happen at 6:15 p.m. on the Belle Meade grounds, underneath a canopy of oak trees that are older than Tennessee statehood. 47 minutes of perfect light. Charlotte and James, the wedding party, the families. You shoot 487 images in 47 minutes. 11 of them will make it into the album. The reception is 270 people at tables dressed in ivory and gold. The speeches run long. The cake cutting is on time for once. The band plays Fleetwood Mac's Everywhere for the first dance, and you shoot it at ISO 3200 f2.0, available light only. Because a flash during a first dance is an interruption, and these two do not need to be interrupted. Sparkler exit at 10:15 p.m. 270 guests lining the stone pathway with sparklers, and Charlotte and James running between them, laughing, her veil catching the light from 270 points of fire. You shoot 6,847 images across 14 hours. Derek adds 2,900. Total 9,747 raw files. You will spend 93 hours editing them into 1,247 final images. But the story is not over. 2 weeks after the wedding, you deliver the gallery. Charlotte calls you crying. Diane emails you a 400-word testimonial. You post it on Instagram with one image from the Sparkler exit. 22,000 impressions, 340 likes, 47 saves. 3 weeks after that, you hold an in-person sales session at the Whitfield Morrison residence in Belle Meade. The home has a living room with 14-foot ceilings and a gallery wall that is currently empty. They order one 40 by 60 canvas of the Golden Hour Oak Tree Portrait, $1,200. Two 24 by 36 canvases for the parents, $595 each. The full 80-page heirloom album with leather cover and gilded edges, $6,500, already included in the contract. An additional parent album, $1,800. 8 11 by 14 prints in archival mats, $145 each. and a set of 12 thank you cards with a wedding portrait on the front. $350 for 200 cards. Total IPS revenue, $5,700 on top of the $38,400 contract. Grand total from the Whitfield Morrison wedding, $44,100. But the real number is bigger than that. Diane Whitfield Morrison runs a PR firm. She knows people. The kind of people who get married at venues that cost $25,000 to rent for an evening. Over the next 6 months, Diane refers 7 couples to you. 6 book. Total revenue from Diane's referrals, $67,000. You add Diane to your holiday gift list. You send her a custom print of the ring in the planter image, framed in a dark walnut frame. She keeps it on her office desk. She shows it to every client who walks in. That photograph, the one of a 6-year-old boy hiding a $14,000 ring in a potted plant, is worth more to your business than any image you have ever taken. Year 4, the current year. You are 32. Your business is 3.5 years old. Revenue breakdown. Cali shot weddings, 12 per year, average $8,400. Photography, plus $3,200 in IPS, $139,200. Associate weddings, 22 per year, average $4,200 photography, approximately $2,800 net each after associate fees and editing. $61,600 net. Corporate headshots, 32 sessions per year, average $2,800 per session, $89,600. Portrait, bridal and commercial work, 48 sessions per year, average $500, $24,000. Workshops, 2 per year. You started teaching a 2-day intensive called Build Your Photography Business for aspiring full-time photographers. $1,800 per student, 8 students per workshop, $28,800. Print and album sales through IPS, $62,400 annual. Grand total revenue, $405,600. Expenses. Associate photographer fees, $58,000. Studio rental. You lease your own space now. Solo, a 1,200 square foot loft in Wedgwood, Houston. No partners. $21,600 per year. Gear depreciation and replacement, $14,000. Insurance, equipment, liability, errors and omissions, $5,200. Marketing, The Knot, Wedding Wire, Google Ads, Instagram promotions, chamber membership, styled shoot costs, $12,000. Software and tools, Lightroom, Pixieset, Honeybook, Squarespace, PicTime, Canva Pro, Cloud Backup, $4,800. Subcontractors, makeup artists, videography partnerships, album design, $34,000. Travel, mileage, hotel for destination shoots, $6,400. Education and workshops attended, $3,000. Accounting, legal and miscellaneous, $3,000. Total expenses, $162,000. Net operating income, $243,600. After self-employment tax, 15.3% on the first $184,500, 2.9% above that, and federal income tax, approximately $168,000 in owner's compensation. Your team: 2 associate photographers, Derek and Nina, one lead second shooter. Priya, now on salary at $55,000 plus a $2,000 annual bonus structure tied to client satisfaction scores. And one part-time remote editor based in Manila named Rosa Gutierrez, who handles basic culling and color correction for $1,800 per month. Active recurring clients, 89. 46 families who book annual portraits. 27 businesses on headshot retainer contracts. 16 couples who have referred at least one additional booking. Equipment, insured value, $47,000 across 4 camera bodies, 11 lenses, 6 light systems, and assorted accessories. Google reviews, 127, all 5 stars. The Knot, 89 reviews, 4.9 average. Instagram, 14,200 followers. The business you almost abandoned on a bathroom floor in Franklin, Tennessee at 2 a.m. on a Thursday is now valued at an estimated $400,000 to $530,000, based on a 1.0 to 1.3 times revenue multiple for owner-dependent service businesses with strong recurring revenue and brand equity. There are things you miss about the cubicle. The certainty. The bi-weekly direct deposit that appeared in your account on the 1st and 15th, regardless of whether you were brilliant or mediocre that month. The dental insurance. The fact that nobody's grandmother's $14,000 ring was ever your problem. But you photographed Tasha Oyalaran's second baby. Free, obviously. Tasha cried again. Same as the first time. Same laugh that turns into tears when she sees the images. Same earrings catching the light. Neil Prescott sends you corporate headshot work every year. His team at Hillcrest is up to 23 people now. You charge him $150 per person instead of $175 because he gave you a 2-week notice period and a handshake that said, "Do not undersell yourself." Some debts are not monetary. Marcus Webb cleaned up his credit card debt. It took him 2 years and a side gig doing real estate photography at $200 per listing, and he is still not fully back on his feet. But he is shooting part-time and referring clients when he can. You accepted his referrals without a fee. You never discussed the $6,900. Some losses are the cost of learning who you can trust, including yourself. Priya's collarbone healed in 8 weeks. She wore a sling to 2 weddings during recovery, working as a director and coordinator instead of shooting. Now she is your lead associate and studio manager. $55,000 salary plus benefits through a QS-EHRA, Qualified Small Employer Health Reimbursement Arrangement, which lets small businesses reimburse employees for individual health insurance premiums tax-free, up to $6,450 per year for single coverage in 2026. She turned down a staff photographer position at the Tennessean to stay with you. That meant something. Derek runs the associate wedding program. He hired and trained 2 additional associate photographers himself. He is looking at buying his own studio space next year. You've already told him you will write the reference letter. The Honda CR-V was replaced with a Honda Passport, $41,200. In the cargo area, bolted to the floor with aircraft-grade hardware, is a Pelican V730 Volt case with a 4-dial combination lock. Your camera gear goes in the Volt. The Volt goes in the car. The car has a Viper 5706V alarm system with a proximity sensor that goes off if anyone touches the vehicle. Nobody has touched the vehicle. The heirloom ring photo from the Whitfield Morrison wedding. The one of Haydam sliding the blue velvet box into the potted fiddle leaf fig. You had it printed at WHCC. 8 by 10 archival matte walnut frame. You sent it to Diane with a handwritten note. The most important image I took that day. It sits on her desk between a photo of her grandchildren and an award from the Nashville Business Journal. You think about it sometimes. The moment you said yes to Tasha's maternity session for $150. The moment you decided to buy the R6 Mark II on a credit card. The moment you said yes to Morgan Castile's DM about a $3,500 wedding when you had never shot a wedding in your life. The moment you almost went back to the agency and did not. Every one of those moments felt enormous when it happened, terrifying, like standing at the edge of something with gravity pulling. They do not feel enormous now. Now they feel like steps, one after another, each one building on the last, each one making the next one possible. If someone asked you today, the 32-year-old version of you, the one with $405,600 in annual revenue, and a team, and a studio, and a brand, what you would tell the 28-year-old version, the one in the cubicle with the Canon 5D Mark IV under her desk, you would say 3 things. First, charge more than you think you are worth, because what you think you are worth is based on fear, not data. The market will tell you what you are worth. Listen to the market, not the voice in your head that sounds like imposter syndrome wearing a reasonable disguise. Second, every crisis is a systems failure. The gear theft happened because you did not have a storage protocol. The partnership failed because you did not have an operating agreement. The dead season nearly killed you because you did not have a cash reserve policy. Build the systems before the crisis. It is always cheaper. Third, the most valuable skill in photography is not photography. It is the ability to make someone feel seen. The bride who cries when she sees her gallery. The executive who smiles at his headshot for the first time in 10 years. The 6-year-old ring bearer whose moment of mischief you happened to capture because you were paying attention. You are not selling images. You are selling the feeling of being noticed by someone who knows how to look. You are the owner of a photography business, and that is your entire business. And it is enough.